This meeting is being recorded.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आज का बाइबल पठन कार्यक्रम का स्वागत। आज का ध्यानांश लूका अध्याय 8 पद 35 से। तभी बादलों से आकाशवाणी हुई, यह मेरा पुत्र है, इसे मैंने चुना हूँ, इसकी सुनो। This is my beloved son whom I have chosen. Listen to him. This is the voice the disciples have heard from the sky. जब आकाशवाणी हो चुकी तो उन्होंने यीशु को अकेले पाया। वे इसके बारे में चुप रहे। उन्होंने जो कुछ देखा था उस विषय में उस समय किसी से कुछ नहीं कहा। लड़के को दुष्टात्मा से छुटकारा। If there are nothing like evil spirits, unclean spirits, satanic forces, then Jesus Christ will not mention about Satan. We will not find the mention of Satan and unclean spirits in the gospel books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, Satan. In the Bible, there are very many instances wherein many were held as captive by unclean spirits, and Jesus Christ, with his power over the demonic forces, over the unclean spirits, redeemed, delivered many from unclean spirits. This is one such examples where Jesus Christ has delivered a boy possessed with evil spirits. Rastavamunamemo padakunda kapadu Eka putrunda Kriste so namuna Sayam pradhanalella sarigana linchume Janakasuta Shuddhatma Dhanadeva. This should be our prayer while retiring to bed. Each day, God has given His protection. All through the day, God has supplied for all our needs through His divine provision. And God has protected from the visible and invisible foes. That is why we are healthy. A small sickness is sufficient. A small headache is sufficient. A small cold is sufficient. Fever is sufficient. There are so many people all around us, especially in India, suffering with dreadful diseases like cancer, jaundice, and many others. And quite often it so happens that these sicknesses fall upon the people who are going through poverty, not even having resources to get the needed treatment done. In India, there is a greater opportunity for missionary work. In India, there is greater opportunity to show the love of Jesus Christ among the sick, the poor, the dying, and the destitute. We need people with the missionary zeal like Mother Teresa who will cater to the needs of the poorest of the poor. One of the journalists have asked Mother Teresa, Mother, you have seen so many people suffering with so many kinds of suffering, so many kinds of pains. In your experience, what is the greatest suffering or what is the greatest sickness in your opinion? Then Mother Teresa, in all her humility, said, being unwanted is the greatest sickness. I have seen so many people with so many diseases, so many sicknesses, so many pains, so many problems, but I always found that being unwanted by everyone, being neglected by everyone, being not cared by anyone is the greatest of the pains that people go through. That is why we see so many people going to the extreme step of committing suicide, and it is more so in places, in societies where the family relationships are not existing. For example, in America. In America, the youngsters are independent soon after they reach the age of 16 or so. They will be away from their parents. They will be leading a life that is pleasing to you. In the youth, naturally, the youngsters are attracted towards the desires of flesh, the desires of eye, and the pride of life. It is in that particular stage, in that particular youth, the youngsters need to be protected, need to be guarded, need to be guided much more intimately, much more closely. That is why we see deterioration in America, declaration in America. If America were to fear the capitalist communism of China, basically something is wrong in United States with the family system that need to be addressed. Great evangelists like uh, great evangelist of Esther here, Billy Graham. Billy Graham is the great evangelist of Esther here, even in his 90s. Billy Graham was having missionary zeal to visit each of the cities of United States and conduct crusades, revival meetings, and his emphasis was on one thing, that is sin and righteousness. America need to be righteous to be exalted. America need to be get rid of sin. America need to be get rid of the problems like drug addiction, addiction to drugs, alcoholism, and luxurious lifestyles, spending beyond their ability. If the income were to be, for example, 1 lakh rupee per month, if the Americans were to spend 2 lakh per month, where will the rest of the 1 lakh rupee come for the family? That is the basic problem America is facing now. Not only at the family level, at the national level. God knows the debts that United States owes to other nations. This is the very right time that America should wake up before it's not too late. And there should be preachers like Billy Graham that with missionary zeal preach the gospel. Gospel has the power to change. Gospel has the power to rebuild, to reconstruct, to build for better. If America were to be once the world richest nation, if America were to be world's greatest nation, it is because of the faithfulness of America to the God of Israel. Things are changing faster. Things are changing in a bad way. That's why we have seen many unwanted scenarios in India, in United States. In United States, the luxurious lifestyles should be changed. The family system should be corrected right from the roots. And this is only possible by fatherly and motherly care towards the youngsters, even in the teenage, even in the young age of the family members. Moving forward, लड़के को दुष्टात्मा से छुटकारा। अगले दिन ऐसा हुआ कि जब वे पहाड़ी से नीचे उतरे तो उन्हें एक बड़ी भीड़ मिली। तभी भीड़ में से एक व्यक्ति चिल्ला उठा, गुरु मैं प्रार्थना करता हूं कि मेरे बेटे पर अनुग्रह दृष्टि कर, वह मेरी इकलौती संतान है। अचानक एक दुष्टात्मा उसे जकड़ लेती है और वह चीख उठता है। उसे दुष्टात्मा ऐसे मरोड़ में डालती है कि उसके मुंह से झाग निकलने लगता है। वह उसे कभी नहीं छोड़ती और सताए जा रही है। मैंने तेरे शिष्यों से प्रार्थना की कि वह उसे बाहर निकाल दे, किंतु वे ऐसा नहीं कर सके। तब यीशु ने उत्तर दिया, अरे अविश्वासियों और भटकाए गए लोगों, मैं और कितने दिन तुम्हारे साथ रहूंगा और कब तक तुम्हारी सहायता रहूंगा? अपने बेटे को यहाँ ला। O faithless generation, how long will I be there? విశ్వాసమే విజయమో ఆ విశ్వాసమపజయమో. Faith is victory, and lack of faith is failure. If we have faith, we can move the mountains. For those that believe, all things are possible. இயேசு நடந்தால் அந்த எருக்கோவை தகர்த்திடலாம். உன்னத தேவனுடன் இருக்கா உள்ளமே கலங்காதே. அவர் நல்லவரே என்றும் வல்லவரே, நன்மைகள் குறையாதே. அவர் நல்லவரே என்றும் வல்லவரே, நன்மைகள் குறையாதே. உன்னத தேவனுடன் இருக்கா உள்ளமே கலங்காதே. இயேசு முன் நடந்தார் நீ யோர்தானை கடந்திடலாம். இயேசு முன் நடந்தார் நீ யோர்தானை கடந்திடலாம். விசுவாசம் உனக்கு இருந்தால் அந்த எருக்கோவை தகர்த்திடலாம். That's what exactly here it is written. With faith we can move the mountains. விசுவாசம் உனக்கு இருந்தால் அந்த எருக்கோவை தகர்த்திடலாம். உன்னத தேவனுடன் இருக்கா உள்ளமே கலங்காதே. அவர் நல்லவரே என்றும் வல்லவரே, நன்மைகள் குறையாதே. அவர் நல்லவரே என்றும் வல்லவரே, நன்மைகள் குறையாதே. அந்நாளில் தம் பாதம் அமர்ந்த அந்நாளில் ஜபம் கேட்டா. அந்நாளில் தம் பாதம் அமர்ந்த அந்நாளில் ஜபம் கேட்டா. அநாதையாய் தவித்த அந்த ஆகாரின் குறை தீர்த்த. அநாதையாய் தவித்த அந்த ஆகாரின் குறை தீர்த்த. உன்னத தேவனுடன் இருக்கா உள்ளமே கலங்காதே. உன்னத தேவனுடன் இருக்கா உள்ளமே கலங்காதே. பாவத்தில் இருந்த உன்னை பரிசுத்தமாக்கிடுவார். பாவத்தில் இருந்த உன்னை பரிசுத்தமாக்கிடுவார். தாழ்மையில் கிடந்த உன்னை தம் தயவால் நீக்கிடுவார். தாழ்மையில் கிடந்த உன்னை தம் தயவால் நீக்கிடுவார். உன்னத தேவனுடன் இருக்கா உள்ளமே கலங்காதே. அவர் நல்லவரே என்றும் வல்லவரே, நன்மைகள் குறையாதே. அவர் நல்லவரே என்றும் வல்லவரே, நன்மைகள் குறையாதே. Oh, faithless generation, how long will I be with you? We should never give place for negative thoughts. Positive attitude. We should teach our youngsters, our children, positive attitude that they can do everything. The problem much of the youngsters are facing is they underestimate themselves. Not only youngsters, that is the problem basically with almost all the Indians. They underestimate themselves. If there were to be high impact factor journals like Science, Nature, Self, we often, Indians, be content with writing to Indian journals, writing to journals of impact factor lower than 10. But while I was working with my postdoctoral supervisor, Professor Arun Gadenkar, sir, he is not content with any of the journals with impact factor lower than 10. He says at least the impact factor of the journal should be 10 for me to communicate. I will not listen to such lousy journals. If I were to present a paper in a group meeting from journals. I need to present either from RSC or ACS, American Chemical Society journals or Royal Society journals. If I were to present anything lower than that, Professor Aaron Gedenkans says, Asur, 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 forbidden. He will not listen. Oh, we know all these things. You can move forward. That is why he will not listen. He will not allow us to speak. Oh, we know all these things. Move forward. That is how the Israelis learn new things. That is how the Israelis update. They will not beat around the bush. They will not be uh, hesitant to speak openly. Oh, we know all these things. Move forward. That is how. Okay, I may be offended. Not me. He was very kind to me. Generally, with the audience, with other scholars, he used to be like that. Oh, we know all these things. You can move forward. IR. We know all these things. You can move forward. So Israelis want something new. Dr. Neel, what is new? Every day I need to update him. Early morning, he comes to the lab and says, Dr. Neel, what with the carbon dots? What about the carbon nanodots? Did you prove that they are indeed carbon nanodots? Did you find the particle size from the transmission electron microscope? Because there is no depth of resources in Israel. If I want a chemical, if I order today, that other day the chemical will be on my table. If I were provided such facilities, if I were provided such luxurious resources, obviously I will be expected to deliver. Not only in Israel, so long as I was in IIT Madras as a PhD scholar in the laboratory of Professor T.K. Varadarajan sir and Professor B. Vishwanathan sir, the resources and the facilities were not bad. We were funded by CSIR, we were funded by Ministry of Renewable Energy Sources, we were funded by Colombian Chemical Company, Chennai Petroleum Corporation. There is no dearth of funds. Of course, with the instrumental analysis, there is always a constraint. Some instruments will not work when they are very much needed. Some instruments are not available because of the long queues. Then way back in 2002 to 2010, during my tenure as a scholar in IIT Madras, there used to be only one facility that is called Central Facility, SAIF, Sophisticated Analytical Instrumentation Facility, to cater to the instrumental analysis needs of all the IIT scholars. Of course, there were department level facilities, but such facilities were not very, diverse. Very few instruments were there. Visionary infrastructure builders like Professor B. Vishwanathan sir have ensured that state of the instrument facilities like HPLC, NMR, and XPS were in place at a facility called National Center for Catalysis Research. I myself was made in charge of XPS, X-ray photoelectron spectroscopy, because XPS is very peculiar machine. XPS needs patience. HPLC needs patience. NMR is not so. NMR, I can put any junk into the NMR tube and put it in the machine and quickly get the result. NMR is okay. EPR is okay. Any junk can be put in the machine and we can get the result, and it all depends on how genius you are to interpret and to filter the noise and find out the signal and attribute the signal to the correct analyte that is present in the sample. That needs ingenuity, that needs judicious judgment, that needs genius, that needs expertise. Any junk sample can be put in an NMR machine, any junk sample could be put in EPR, and you will get result. Of course, it depends on the scholar's expertise to interpret the result, but it's not so with XPS. It's not so with HPLC. We cannot play our tricks with HPLC. The machine will be lost. The column is so sensitive, it's as thin as human hair or even thinner than human hair. Such sensitive columns were present in HPLC machine. Now HPLC is clubbed with MS mass spectroscopy, and the information that we can get from HPLC, not only retention time, we can also get additional information related to mass of the analyte. From the retention time and mass together, we can get some authentic information on the analyte that is being analyzed. Likewise, XPS2 is highly sensitive. If we cannot put any junk into the machine, the high vacuum system is needed for analyzing the sample. The XPS is basically meant for surface analysis of solids. HPLC is not meant for solids. HPLC is meant for liquids. XPS is meant for solids. जहां काम आए सुई, तलवार की कोई जरूरत नहीं होगी. When there is a need for needle, we need not go for sword. When we have to use XPS, we have to essentially use XPS. The information that can be deduced from XPS cannot be authentically deduced from HPLC. The information that is deduced from HPLC cannot be obtained from ICP. We should know where to use what. There is no Sarvaroga Nivarani. We have to use the proper medicine for the proper sickness. If the sickness is cancer, if I will give antibiotic, of course, antibiotics are also given to cancer patients, not for addressing the tumor issue, but to address the immunity system. Antibiotics should be given to cancer patients. But what I mean to say is, for a person suffering with typhoid, I should not give the medicine related to liver problem. Typhoid is something related to stomach. Liver is jaundice is related to liver. We should know exactly where the sickness is. We should know exactly what the problem is. We should know what is the sample we are analyzing, what we want from the analysis. If I want surface analysis, surface functional group details, if I do HPLC, it will not give the details on the surface functional groups. Of course, we will know the structure of the compound. We will know the analyte that is present. It is an indirect way of knowing the surface functionality. It is like begging the question. So it depends on what we want. If I want the structure of organic compounds, essentially I have to go for NMR. I should not stop with proton NMR. My professor, my postdoctoral supervisor, Professor Arun Gadenkar sir, says we should not trust 13C NMR. 13C NMR is not reliable. He meant something else. 13C NMR is not reliable. It's not like that. 13C NMR is as reliable as proton NMR. Only thing is 13C NMR is 5,000 times less sensitive than proton NMR. It all depends on the relative abundance of isotope. It all depends on the isotopic abundance. You want everything to be done in one day. How much you are paying? What you will get also depends on how much you pay. 13C NMR is not reliable. We should not come to such conclusions. 13C NMR is as reliable as proton NMR. Only thing is the relative isotopic abundance of proton is much higher compared to 13C isotope. Because I am emeritus professor, because I have 900 papers, because I am emeritus professor, Jawaharlal Nehru Center is in my hands. Whatever I say is the gospel truth. That is how system works. I call a spade, though it's not palatable. I let my students express their mind, even though it is against me. सर आप कहाँ से पढ़ा रहे हैं, क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं, हमें कुछ समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा है. My students used to openly say to me, only then I can tune my lectures. Only then I can reduce or increase the content of my presentation or the depth of my presentation or the material that I present to them. Unless I allow them to speak their mind, how can I modulate my lectures fitting their needs? Syllabus is there, curriculum is there. Curriculum is not the only thing that the teacher follows. For the teacher, what is important is the career. What is needed to the career? What is needed to the future of the teachers? Build character, teachers build personality, teachers develop human resources. Apart from teaching curriculum, bhaad mein jaye aapka curriculum. There are three kinds of teachers. One is poor teacher, average teacher, and exemplary teacher. An exemplary teacher goes beyond the textbook, goes beyond the curriculum, knows what is happening today, teaches to the students what they should know, teaches the students to build their personality, to stand against time and tide. Nikal de. Who is that loss? You are the loser, isn't it? A gold is gold wherever it is kept. The value of gold is not diminished by your false judgments. तब यीशु ने उत्तर दिया, अरे अविश्वासियों और भटकाए गए लोगों, ओ जनरेशन ऑफ फेथलेस पीपल, हाउ लॉन्ग विल आई बी विथ यू? मैं और कितने दिन तुम्हारे साथ रहूंगा और कब तक तुम्हारी सहता रहूंगा? हाउ लॉन्ग विल आई बी एबल टू बेयर योर फेथलेसनेस? अपने बेटे को यहाँ ला, ब्रिंग योर सन हियर. अभी वह लड़का आ ही रहा था कि दुष्टात्मा ने उसे पटकी दी और मरोड़ दिया, किंतु यीशु ने दुष्टात्मा को फटकारा और लड़के को निरोग करके वापस करके पिता को सौंप दिया. There are countless miracles that Jesus Christ has done, and all are done in less than 3.5 years. वे सभी परमेश्वर की इस महानता से चकित हो उठे. यीशु द्वारा अपनी मृत्यु की चर्चा. Jesus knows his last days. यीशु जो कुछ कर रहा था उसे देखकर लोग जब आश्चर्य कर रहे थे, तभी यीशु ने अपने शिष्यों से कहा, अब जो मैं तुमसे कह रहा हूं उन बातों पर ध्यान दे. मनुष्य का पुत्र मनुष्य के हाथों. इन सम वर्शंस ऑफ द बाइबल इट इज रिटन पापियों के हाथों पकड़वाया जाने वाला है, किंतु वे इस बात को नहीं समझ सके. यह बात उनसे छिपी हुई थी, सो वे उसे जान नहीं पाए और वे उस बात के विषय में उससे पूछने से डरते थे. सबसे बड़ा कौन? हु इज द ग्रेटेस्ट? एक बार यीशु के शिष्यों के बीच इस बात पर विवाद छिड़ा कि उनमें सबसे बड़ा कौन है. यीशु ने जान लिया कि उनके मन में क्या विचार है, सो उसने एक बच्चे को लिया और उसे अपने पास खड़ा करके उनसे बोला, जो कोई इस छोटे बच्चे का मेरे नाम में सत्कार करता है, वह मानो मेरा ही सत्कार कर रहा है, और जो कोई मेरा सत्कार करता है वह उसका ही सत्कार कर रहा है जिसने मुझे भेजा है. इसलिए जो तुम में सबसे छोटा है वही सबसे बड़ा है. जो तुम्हारा विरोधी नहीं है वह तुम्हारा ही है. यूहन्ना ने प्रतिक्रिया व्यक्त करते हुए कहा, स्वामी, हमने तेरे नाम पर एक व्यक्ति को दुष्टात्माएं निकालते देखा है. You see, there is power in the name of Jesus Christ. In the name of Jesus Christ, the demons and unclean spirits will appear and will be casted out. Even when I was facing a threat from unclean spirits, witchcraft, black magic, I just say, Satan, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and they have to flee in fear. Even in my subconscious state, automatically it comes to my mind. The works of dark forces. Satan, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ, and I'll be relieved of all my fears. Though I go through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. గాఢాంధకారపు లోయలో నేను సంచరించినను, ఈ అపాయమునకు నేను భయపడను. నీ దండము నీ దుడ్డకర నన్ను ఆదరించును. యెహోవా నా కాపరి, యెహోవా నా ఊపిరి, నాకు లేమి కలుగదు. లోయలలో లోతులలో యెహోవా నా కాపరి. సముద్రములో సమరములో యేసయ్య నా ఊపిరి. యెహోవా నా కాపరి, యెహోవా నా కాపరి, నాకు లేమి కలుగదు. పచ్చిక గల చోట్ల నన్ను పరుండజేయును. పచ్చిక గల చోట్ల నన్ను పరుండజేయును. శాంతికరమైన జలముల చెంత నన్ను నడిపించును. లోయలలో లోతులలో యెహోవా నా కాపరి. సముద్రములో సమరములో యేసయ్య నా ఊపిరి. యెహోవా నా కాపరి, యెహోవా నా కాపరి, నాకు లేమి కలుగదు. లోయలలో లోతులలో యెహోవా నా కాపరి. సముద్రములో సమరములో యేసయ్య నా ఊపిరి. యెహోవా నా కాపరి, యేసయ్య నా ఊపిరి, నాకు లేమి కలుగదు. నాకు లేమి కలుగదు. My mother often used to say, if we continuously teach hours together to your friends, to your students, and give tuitions for hours, you will be affected with TB, tuberculosis. Thank God that has not happened yet. I teach hours and I deliver online classes. Usually my lectures go for 3 hours, not less than 3 hours. My seminars, my talks will go for such a length of time. Fortunately, I do have teachers, great teachers like Professor B. Vishnathan sir, Professor Anipindi Nageshwar sir in my MSc, who are very patient to listen. Now, people do not have patience or time. Professor Aaron Gadankar says, Asur, Asur, Asur. You cannot take time more than 30 minutes. He is a very busy person and he often says, I do not have time, not now, not now. Each person is different, isn't it? It all depends on our priorities. Professor Arun Gadankar balances family and science well. Some are different. For some, it's a different priority. Professor Arun Gadankar says, I have children along with chemistry. Of course, he is a very nice, loving father and very loving husband. I know Professor Arun Gadankar's wife. Her name is Shula. Such a wonderful person. I know her for her love for her husband, Professor Arun Gadankar. We together, we were invited for the 70th birthday of Professor Arun Gadankar. That was the time, that was my initial incipient time in the laboratory of Professor Arun Gadankar. That was in December 24th, 2010. Then I was just 3 months old researcher in Arun Gadankar's lab, but I was received well by Shula Gadankar. Shula madam. Shula is actually the full name in Hebrew is Shulamite. Shulamite means the church. It's a beautiful name. Among everything that I love on earth is the church. Shula. Shula means the church. Her name is so sweet. The person, madam, is also very sweet. On 70th birthday, madam prepared the birthday arrangements very well, and this is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. I do not want the phone calls to interrupt my thought process. These days, for everything and anything, we make call. That is the problem. जहां काम आए सुई तलवार की क्या जरूरत है? Why should you call so many times? 9 calls, 10 calls, 20 calls. Are you mad? You can just send a message and wait for the response. Calling, so many calls. This is not good. Because we have the telephone facility, because we have the mobile facility, we can interrupt anybody and everybody and enter into the privacy of everybody and anybody. Oh, you have not attended my call. You have ignored my call. You are online and you did not attend my call. Bhaad mein jaye aapka call. Because I am online, should I attend all your calls? Nonsense. यूहन्ना के प्रतिक्रिया व्यक्त करते हुए कहा, यूहन्ना ने प्रतिक्रिया व्यक्त करते हुए कहा, स्वामी, हमने तेरे नाम पर एक व्यक्ति को दुष्टात्माएं निकालते देखा है। हमने उसे रोकने का प्रयत्न किया क्योंकि वह हम में से कोई नहीं है जो तेरा अनुसरण करते हैं। इस पर यीशु ने यूहन्ना से कहा, उसे रोक मत, क्योंकि जो तेरे विरोध में नहीं है वह तेरे पक्ष में ही है। एक सामरी नगर, वन समरिटन सिटी। अब ऐसा हुआ कि जब उसे ऊपर स्वर्ग में ले जाने का समय आया तो वह यरूशलेम जाने का निश्चय कर चल पड़ा। उसने अपने दूतों को पहले ही भेज दिया था। वे चल पड़े और उसके लिए तैयारी करने को एक सामरी गांव में पहुंचे, समरिटन विलेज। किंतु समरियों ने वहां उसका स्वागत सत्कार नहीं किया क्योंकि वह यरूशलेम को जा रहा था। जब उसके शिष्यों याकूब और यूहन्ना ने यह देखा तो वे बोले, प्रभु, क्या तू चाहता है कि हम आदेश दे कि आकाश से अग्नि बरसे और उन्हें भस्म कर दे? इस पर वह उनकी तरफ मुड़ा और उनको डांटा फटकारा। और यीशु ने कहा, क्या तुम नहीं जानते कि तुम कैसी आत्मा से संबंध रखते हो? मनुष्य का पुत्र मनुष्य की आत्माओं को नष्ट करने नहीं बल्कि उनका उद्धार करने आया है। फिर वे दूसरे गांव चले गए। यीशु का अनुसरण। जब वे राह किनारे चले जा रहे थे, किसी ने उससे कहा, तू जहां कहीं भी जाए मैं तेरे पीछे चलूंगा। यीशु ने उससे कहा, लोमड़ियों के पास खोह होते हैं और आकाश की चिड़ियों के भी घोंसले होते हैं, किंतु मनुष्य के पुत्र के पास सिर टिकाने को कोई स्थान नहीं है। आकाश పక్షులకు గూళ్ళనువి, అడవిలోని నక్కలకు బొరియలున్నవి, మనుష్య కుమారుడు తలవాల్చుటకైనను చోటు లేదు. దిస్ ఇస్ ద లైఫ్ స్టైల్ దట్ జీసస్ हैज फॉलोड. उसने किसी दूसरे से कहा मेरे पीछे हो ले, किंतु वह व्यक्ति बोला है प्रभु मुझे जाने दो ताकि मैं पहले अपने पिता को दफन कर आऊं. तब यीशु ने उससे कहा मेरे हुओं को अपने मरे हुओं को अपने मुर्दे गाड़ने दे, तू जा और परमेश्वर के राज्य की घोषणा कर. फिर किसी और ने भी कहा है प्रभु मैं तेरे पीछे चलूंगा, किंतु पहले मुझे अपने घर वालों से विदा ले आने दे. इस पर यीशु ने उससे कहा ऐसा कोई भी जो हल पर हाथ रखने के बाद पीछे देखता है परमेश्वर के राज्य के योग्य नहीं है. నాగటి మీద చేయి వేసి వెనకకు చూచువాడు దేవుని రాజ్యమునకు పాత్రుడు కాడు. Here ends the Bible reading. Luca chapter 9. Malaikum Assalam.